Hi 803, it's Miss English, and this is a tutorial on the Unit 1 Exponents in Scientific Notation exam. Question number 1, a certain human red blood cell has a diameter that's the width of 0.000007. I wrote that out just to make sure I've got all the right number of zeros. I know that my lead number has to be between 1 and 9. So I put my decimal and I work backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and my final answer is 7 times 10 to the negative 6. 7 times 10 to the negative 6, or letter A. Question number 2 says Kevin moved from a city to a small town. Lucky Kevin. The population of the city is 6 times 10 to the 5th power, which is 15 times as great as the small town. You can do, there's a couple of different ways, but I think the easiest way to do it is really write out 6 times 10 to the 5th, which is 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Divide that by 15, and I get 15 into 600,000 goes 40,000 times. I take my 40,000 and I rewrite it in scientific notation as 4 times 10 to the 4th, which is letter choice B. Question number 3 is just a simplification problem. I have 5 to the 8th, and I'm multiplying it by 5 to the 4th, so I know I'm going to add the exponents. My base stays the same. I get 5 raised to the power of negative 4. I can rewrite that, or I have to rewrite that without negative exponents, as 1 over 5 to the 4th power, and the correct answer is letter choice A. Allentown College has approximately 3 times 10 to the 3rd students, while Pengrove has approximately 30,000 students. How many times as much is the number of students at Pengrove, that's the smaller one, as there are in Allentown? So let's just make sure we know which one we're talking about. This is E for Allentown, and Pengrove is 30,000. So let's write both of these out in scientific notation. 3 times 10 to the 3rd, so that's 3, 1, 2, 3, and 30,000, 1, 2, 3. My zeros can cancel, so I can see that Pengrove has approximately 10 times as many students as Ellengrove. So my correct answer is B. Moving on to question number 4. The speed of light of a vacuum can be written as 299. I can pretty much stop right there, because if it says I'm approximating, I'm just going to round 2.99. So that's approximately 3. I can get rid of answer choices A and B because they're not written in scientific notation. And now all I need to do is just figure out the right number of zeros. So starting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 3 times 10 to the 8th power, or letter choice D. Question number 6 asks, it has basically a base of 3, exponent of 4, base of 3, exponent 2, and it's a little bit tricky because we haven't seen this equivalency clause. But I know if I simplified this, I would subtract the exponents. I would have 3 squared, and I can actually simplify 3 squared to be 9. So my final answer is B, 9. Question number 7, I'm determining the product of 800 times 5 times 2 times 10 to the 5th. So let's just do this in stages. I'm going to multiply 800 times 2 first, and then I'm going to worry about my exponent in a minute. When I multiply 800.5 times 2, I get 10, carry my 1, 2 times 0 is 1, 0, 16, I have one spot here, one spot here. So I've taken care of this, I've taken care of this. I'm multiplying this by 10 to the 5th power. I know that this is not in scientific notation, but I can easily put it there by changing 1601 to 1.601. I don't need that extra 0. And in doing so, I am adding 1, 2, 3 spots. So my correct answer is going to be adding 3 spots to my 10 to the 5th and end up, apologies, that is not 10 to the 5th, that's 10 to the 6th. So same problem, only in this case I'm adding 1, 2, 3 spaces to 6, and my final answer is 10 to the 9th power, or letter choice D. Question number 8, at given times Saturn was 9, and again we drew our estimate here. Saturn is 9.1 times 10 to the 8th miles from the Sun. And let's just say this is the Sun here. And Earth is 9.3 times 10 to the 7th from the Sun. And the question asks, by what distance is one planet closer to the Sun than the other planet? So here is Saturn out here, here is the Earth, and I'm looking for the difference between Saturn and the Earth. So I'm going to subtract 9.1 times 10 to the 8th, and I'm going to subtract 9.3 times 10 to the 7th. One thing that I can do to actually make this a complete number is to subtract 1 from 7 and make this 9.1 times 10 to the 8th. And I'm going to be subtracting 93 times 10 to the 8th. When I subtract these two, I'm going to end up with 8.17 times 10 to the 8th. And I can see that this is left in scientific notation. The correct answer is D. Just to make sure that last point was clear, my drawings over here will show you that I needed to have the same exponent on my 10 to be able to subtract them. So I am moving my decimal one place to the left, which means that I'm going to actually add one of my exponents, which gives both of these 8. So I'm subtracting 9.10 by 0.93. I get 8.17, and again that's going to be times 10 to the 8th, and that's my final answer. Question number 9, which question is equivalent to? So it doesn't ask me to solve it, but I need to find my equivalency. So PEMDAS, let's do this first. I have 2 times 2 to the squared divided by 2 to the 1st power, 2 to the 4th power. So that I know if I simplify this part of the equation, I have 2 squared. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. So I'm left with 2 to the negative 3rd power. I'm going to add my exponents, and I have 2 to the 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. And my final answer is indeed B. I could have written 2 to the negative 1st power as 1 over 2, but that's not an answer choice. My answer choice is B. Bianca and Nick are both musicians, and they sell their songs online. During the same year, Bianca sold 8 times 10 to the 5th downloads, and Nick, this is B for Bianca, and Nick sold 4 times 10 to the 6th downloads. So Nick is doing a little better than Bianca is. How many times as much, and this is critical, how many times as much is the number of songs that Nick sold than the number of songs that Bianca sold? So in this case, I'm actually going to reverse this, and I'm going to divide the number of songs that Bianca sold into the number of songs that Nick sold. So let's put the 4 times 10 to the 6th on the top, and 8 times 10 to the 5th on the bottom. And I can see that when I divide these two, first of all, this will be equal to 1/2, but that doesn't help me too much. So let's go ahead and write this out, just like we did on the other problem. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and on the bottom, I have 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 cancels, 2 cancels, so I have 40 divided by 8 is what's left over, which is equal to 5. Therefore, it's letter B. Nick sold 5 times as many downloads as Bianca did. What exponential expression is equal to, and again, I'm just applying my rules of exponents, 2 to the negative 5th power times 2 to the 8th power. I know once again I'm adding my exponents. I end up with 2 to the 3rd power, which equals 8. But I look at my answer choices and I don't see 8. So I have to look for something else that looks like an 8 or that would be an 8. So in this case, I'm going to go one by one. And I am, it's, yes, 2 to the, not the 3rd power. Yes, it's 8. I look and see which one of these would actually be equal to 8. So let's do them one by one. 2 squared divided by 2 to the negative 1st. So I subtract the exponents. 2 minus a negative 1 is actually equal to 2 to the 3rd. So I did not have to go very far at all on this. 2 to the negative 3rd equals 2 to the negative 3rd equals 8. And my correct answer choice is A. Question 12. What is the value of the expression below? In this expression below, I am actually going to simplify this part first and then worry about the second part later. So I can see that 4.8 divided by 1.2, 1.2 into 4.8. Well, I'm going to move this over once, and we know that 12 goes into 48. So going back, we have to look at the problem where we have 10 to the 4th, and this is actually a negative 6. It's not a negative 4. So when I add 4 to negative 6, I end up with negative 2. And I'm going to count backward from my 8.8, 1, 2 spots. That's not relevant. And I get 0.088, which is letter B. And going on to the very last question on our exam, where I needed to show a short answer. And Jude incorrectly, so I already know that this has a problem. 1/2 squared times 1/2, there's nothing on this one, but I could put parentheses, times 1/2 cubed. I know that if I'm multiplying these things together, I'm going to add the exponents. 2 plus 1 plus 3. So the correct answer is 1/2. The whole thing is multiplied by 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 3 is 6. So that would be my correct answer. If I wrote it out, it would be 1 to the 6th power divided by 2 to the 6th power. What it appears that Jude did in this particular case is he added the exponents correctly, but he multiplied 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. In this case, he should not, and emphasize the not, multiplied the denominator. And you could just put your final answer as 1 over 2 to the 6th power. You have your calculator, you could have worked that out, but that would have given you 1 point for finding the error, 2 points for describing the error, and 3 points
for showing